All right, so I'm going to try something for a little tutorial here, which is Intro to Premiere Pro from kind of a very basic point of view. And I've got my man Ted sitting next to me.
Yeah.
And he kind of swung by and was like, wanted a quick introduction because he's working on a video edit and how to sync sound and a few other things. I'm going to go through a few things here that Ted already knows, I'm sure, and then maybe some new stuff, and then we'll do, like, if you have any questions or walkthrough or anything like that.
Yeah, that's perfect, yeah.
Cool. All right, so launching Premiere Pro. Yeah, I'm sure you already know this, but this is for anyone.
Yeah.
You launch it and you wait, and this is a fast computer, and it still takes a while to launch.
Still takes a while, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so on the opening screen, it's basically going to give you the option of just opening things, that you've recently worked on.
Okay.
Create a new project, open an existing project.
All right.
In this case, we're going to create a new project, which is going to be yoga poses.
So let's see all these, like the likes of this. So the capture format, would you always say DVD, audio sample, what about the likes of?
Yeah, with this stuff, I almost always just leave to the default. They say that you shouldn't save it. So I've got all the video footage in this temp folder on my desktop.
Yeah.
And they say you're actually not supposed to save your Premiere Pro file in the same place.
Okay.
I think it's a speed thing. I'm not honestly really too sure why that is.
Okay.
I ignore it. I always save my Premiere Pro file for the video edit in the exact same folder.
The same place, right?
Because it makes it easier to manage for me, But yeah, I just leave everything.
Okay.
And you can change things once you're in here.
Once you're inside,
By default, I think it defaults you to this editing CS5 workspace.
Right. Okay.
I personally created kind of a custom one. They're all going to be a little different.
Right, for your workspace.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Color, if you're doing color correction, that kind of stuff. Wherever you see the project title, that's going to be all your files.
That's all your files, right? Okay.
Yeah, the timeline.
Okay.
Is where we're going to be editing on the programs, the preview window, the effects windows.
And can you, let's say, do a small edits in these windows?
No.
The
Sort of. So I'll show you. So we'll pull in yoga poses here.
Right.
One in either of that crap. So you can import by dragging and dropping.
Right.
If you're in your project window, you can double click on it.
Right. Okay.
And it'll take you to the full file. Or you can do a file and import.
Yeah, so let's say
Syncing audio and sound.
Yeah, well, even
video.
that'd be a start, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, once you're in here, first thing you do if you record separate audio and video.
Yeah.
And this is where, like, often that take one clap and all that kind of stuff comes in, because we've got a first audio take.
Yeah.
So with this, we didn't do a good job of using the clapboard and marking like what syncs and what the sounds are.
Right.
But we know because you and I were there.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so you take the trick is, one, you don't want to do any edits at this point.
Okay.
You just grab your first audio file and your video file, whichever ones you're going to sync.
Right.
You right clip and you go merge clips.
Oh, merge clips. Okay.
Yep. And this is if you've got one video file and one audio file. There's ways to do it if you've got multiple video files as well.
But they won't merge correctly though, won't they? No?
They might if they're the same. Like, so let's say we were doing this with two cameras. We had one camera on one side, one camera on the other side.
Right.
You would do a multi-video file.
Right, okay.
But in this case, there's one camera and one sound. So you just do merge clips. You can name it if you want. It, by default, just takes the file name and then writes the word merged. But let's say this is like, scene one, take one. You can do that. It gives you synchronized points, so you can synchronize it on, like, the in, the out on a time code. This is another one. I almost always leave the defaults. You can remove the audio from the audio clip.
Right.
So let's say, for example, we know we're going to be using the audio from the sound. Why do we necessarily need the audio from that? It's that kind of stuff. Once again, very rarely do I change any of this. Sometimes I might change the audio mixes.
Okay.
And sometimes I might change the time code depending on what I'm doing. 99% of the time, just leave it all at the defaults.
Right, leave it all to the defaults.
Yep.
Right,
yep. Okay. And then just hit OK.
Right. Okay.
And it's going to create a clip. And how I do mine is I actually created a bin that's my merged clips. So I know
Right. Okay.
So this is just kind of makes it easier to manage. So I've got my audio files, my original audio, my original video, and now my merged ones.
Okay.
Because if you're doing a big edit, you might fill that whole project window with stuff. So to add it to the timeline, just drag and drop, and there you go. And what it's doing here is, so we had the audio running for a really long time,
and then it kicked in. Then,
yeah, before we actually started recording video.
Yeah.
So it's basically going to throw all that up there, and you can even see in the window here, that it synced on this sound point. That was the clap.
And did it sync there? Did it?
Yep.
It merged.
Yeah, and you can see. So I'll play it
Right.
here. All right. Yep.
Oh fuck! Right. Okay.
So anyway, so what we're looking at here, this is where in that syncing, where it was asking like all the different layers and stuff that you want to sync, because what it did here is it's in stereo. So we've got these two blue layers here are the original audio from.
Yeah, that's the original. Yes.
From the camera.
Yeah.
These two down here are the audio from the microphone.
Okay.
And that's really the ones we care about. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut.
What did you use there? You used the C.
Yep.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So it's the razor tool.
Yeah.
The keyboard shortcut is C, and it pulls it up. And all I'm doing is just, I'm going to cut like pretty much right at the clap point, because we don't need any of the stuff before that.
Yeah.
And you just then hit the V button,
Right.
and that'll automatically pull up the selection tool.
Right.
Go in.
Yeah.
Sound of my awesome voice there. Okay, go inside, give me a 5 count, and then just come out.
Yeah.
Because we're rolling now, so you're good. Another little trick here is, notice we've got all the space before. If you just want to, rather than grab it and drag it,
Right. Okay.
if you just right click in that field, right click and then hit
I
ripple
think I'm
delete.
better off getting a mouse. I don't have a mouse.
Oh, you don't have a mouse? But anyway, so yeah, when I'm starting, like the first thing I do with an edit is I just kind of clean it up a little bit,
Right.
and I get where I want it to start. So we had all this chit chat.
Yeah. Messing around. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you're on the selection tool, if you just kind of mouse over, you see I get the little.
You see this red thing?
Yeah.
That red. That actually extend. If you, let's say, cut something, you can drag it back out with a clip, isn't
Exactly.
it?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it'll work both ways. You
Yeah,
can bring
yeah.
it in or bring it back out.
Yeah.
Oh, here's Aiden coming up the thing. So that's really where this is starting, I think,
Yeah.
with him coming
That's where it comes out. Yeah.
out. So another thing, we've still got the 4 audio tracks.
So the stuff off the sound boom
Mhm.
and the stuff on the sound off the camera.
Mhm.
And can you use both? You can if you want, or is
You
it?
can. What I do here, I do keep it, but what I do is I'll mute it, and so
Okay.
basically I mute those first 2 tracks. So that's the camera track.
That's the camera track.
So
right.
now the only thing we're listening to is
Excuse me, honey.
sound from the microphone.
Excuse me, would you be interested in taking part in some of our weekly yoga classes?
And so that's that. And the reason for that, here's another thing. So let's say I've got my merge clip down here, right?
Right.
I double click on it. It's going to bring it up into this source sequence window.
Okay.
And that's showing that it's been, shortened down to here and there.
Right,
So notice
okay.
if I drag it, it kind of extends it or
Okay,
reduces it
okay,
here.
Okay.
If you don't have the audio, and this is why I keep them on there. And so what I'm going to do here is just to show it to you. I'm deleting the... So now we've only got the audio from the microphone. We don't have the
Okay.
audio from the camera
from the
anymore because
camera
I've deleted it.
Okay.
And notice what will happen here. Notice when we're now in the source sequence, we
Yeah.
can't hear anything
Yeah.
because I've deleted the camera audio.
Oh, you did.
So this source sequence field only plays the audio from the camera.
From the camera. Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
And that's why I keep it,
Right, okay.
because if at some point for some reason I want to, shorten it or extend it or do something up here,
Okay.
I'll still be able to hear it. Good.
Right. Okay. If I could be so bold as to
Yeah,
ask
go
you
ahead.
just to do that again now, just like
Yep.
if you could just
Yeah, so there's a couple ways to the source sequence. So let's
Which-
say I've got the video, I'm just previewing a video.
right.
So this is one of them. I double clicked on it, it opens it up in the source
Yeah.
sequence. So anything in this program window is coming from the thing,
from the timeline.
From the timeline.
Yeah.
Two things can go in this source, whatever you've actually drilled down into. So, so in this case, I've got video. I've clicked on video 3, and I want to watch it.
And
but
action.
basically, I'm deciding if I want to use this in the edit, right? So maybe, so we've got Aiden coming out the window here, or door, messing around.
Exhaust system, getting it all piped up.
Yep. So, but notice from the sound of it, you can tell it's we're only listening to the camera sound.
Oh, okay.
And same with this. If I double click on it here and I play it, it's only playing the camera sound.
Excuse me.
It's not playing the scene
Right,
sound.
okay.
We just did.
And how would you cut this? Let's say.
Yeah, if I were cutting the scene together. So let's say, for example, maybe I didn't like this opening because the camera starts rolling after he's coming out the door. But maybe I want a bit of the dialogue piece.
Right.
So I can so I've double clicked on it here. It's in my source sequence.
Right.
And I'm just saying.
So you use one of these guys here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just basically the marking in and marking out.
Right. So show me how they work, because it's probably.
Yep. So move that's on the time there.
Right.
And then just hit it and it'll.
All right.
Mark it. So
and the gray bit you're using, the black bit you're not.
Exactly. Right. So what that means is when I pull this down here, it'll pick up at that mark point versus back here.
Okay.
See, so notice now I didn't have to cut any of the stuff off the beginning of it.
Right.
Because it's pulling up. So let's say I want to go with this intro.
Interested in taking part in some of our weekly yoga classes?
So let's say I wanted to use that take from the weekly yoga classes. And
Up.
The body control.
What's that?
It's all classes.
What?
And then let's say I wanted to cut to this shot. So we go from
In
here.
some of our weekly yoga classes.
What's that?
It's all
Yeah,
about
yeah,
For whatever reason, I
mind
wanted to go to a wider shot.
and the body
Cut the
control.
boom in the shot here, but
I was just laying under the body
can you, let's
of
say,
a
crop
Ford
that?
Escort.
you can.
Can you?
Yeah. So situations like this.
Yeah.
There's two ways. There's a couple ways to deal with this. Yeah. One is you can crop it in. So you just click on it so it's highlighted,
Right. Okay.
and then you go to your effects control window.
Effects and controls.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And wherever it is, anytime if you don't see a window, just go to the windows up
Right.
here and then select. No, you can just pull up any windows that you need
Okay.
effects. Okay, so I've clicked on it, and basically what I've got here is the first one's my video effects,
Okay.
and then the second ones are my audio effects. So notice it says audio effect 1.
Right. Okay.
So that's basically saying, the audio effect for row 1 here, row
Right.
2, row 3, and row 4. I don't really care about 1 and 2 because
Right, so you can mute the
muted
yeah.
them. But maybe if I want to raise or lower the volume on
Right.
audio 1 or 2, you can do that a little bit here. You can do some similar adjustments. The simple one, like you were mentioning, we've got the boom in the shot.
Yeah.
So maybe when we want to zoom in, that's a scale.
Okay.
And so you go to scale, and you can either click the little thing here and drag it to the left to make it smaller, drag it to the right to make it zoom
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
in. Or if you just kind of mouse over it, you'll see I've got two little arrows
Right.
there.
Yeah.
And then I just click down and move left and right, and
Okay.
it does the same thing. The thing to keep in mind with this, if you zoom in,
Yeah.
it's going to be more, because the quality.
Oh, the
right?
pixels,
Yeah,
the pixels,
exactly.
the pixels, the pixels.
So
right,
if it's going on YouTube or whatever, it's not going to be really noticeable. But if you're throwing it on a big screen,
Right. Okay. Okay.
and you can also change the position here.
Right.
And so let's say, for example, I just zoomed in, right, but it's kind of chopping off the top of his head.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can then take our position and adjust that down a little bit.
Right. You can zoom in and then up and down. All right.
Yep,
Okay.
and
So
same
you might
thing
take off
with
some
left
of his
and right
feet
if you
instead
want.
of. Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can do that.
Okay.
And I know we've got other shots from this. So what I'm going to do, instead of doing that, is I'm going to go to a close-up of Aiden saying his lines. So let's find that. Another thing I often do if we are doing takes like take one, shot one, and all that kind of stuff. I'll actually rename all my files,
Right. Okay.
and so I'll actually change this.
Then
to
you have an
like,
idea then where it is in the timeline.
exactly.
All right. Yeah.
Take 3, and then I do the same thing with the audio.
Right.
So that way they're all labeled to
Right,
match.
Okay.
If I'm doing a proper edit. See, we've got. I'd actually rather probably use.
Weekly yoga classes.
What's that?
It's all about.
So let's use hit the WhatsApp from there instead of the WhatsApp from here. So that's 5, which will hopefully be 6. But I was kind of half-assing it on this shoot because I didn't really have anybody to do the claps and stuff, and so. Okay, so because what I really want here is the shot of Aiden's line of what's that.
Excuse me, honey. Excuse me, honey. Excuse me. Would you be interested in taking part in some of our weekly yoga classes?
Oh, what's that?
All about mind.
And now, this is where you're kind of cutting them back and forth. So I'm just hitting the C button again. I'm growing up my slice tool, and I'm just getting rid of that because we can always
use it
drag
again.
it
Drag it
again
again
if we need to. So now what I want is a shot of Kieran saying his lines, right?
Still so complicated even watching it. It's yeah.
You want to take a step back?
To remove off Mercedes there in the morning.
You will be on bended knee.
It's an art form, editing.
It is, man. Oh, it is. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
But the key is like it's intimidating at first, but then kind of once you do it enough and get used to it.
Yeah.
It's
It
not
is
bad.
trial and error in a sense.
it's a lot of
but
trial and error,
It's a
yeah.
lot. It's a lot of trial and error.
Yep. And let's add these to my merge clip.
Excuse me, honey. Excuse me, honey. Excuse me. Would you be interested in taking part in some of our weekly yoga classes?
It'd be
What's
good if you could do a shot
It's all
from
about mind
him coming out the door,
and
that,
body
to
control.
him then walking.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. Him coming out the door to that to then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we don't necessarily need to. I mean, I just threw this one up for the sake
Yeah, I know.
of.
Yeah.
But we could, because what's kind of a nice shot is this one, and I'm just copying.
Yeah.
Oops. Using Control Copy and Control V on the keyboard, and so we had this shot, but it opened what I thought was kind of an interesting shot. We did one take where we kind of started on Kieran's legs and kind of moved up.
Yeah,
to the door,
that's true. Yeah, there is a
which
shot
I
of that,
thought
yeah.
was kind of an interesting one, and I thought it was that one. And you'll get to the point where if you're doing a lot and you've got a ton of stuff going on in your windows here, that you'll get to where you kind of come up with your own system of organizing it and that kind of stuff. Was it this one? 4. Oh, I see. Oh, so you remember how I mentioned if you, put your in and out point here
Yeah.
on your source clip,
Yeah.
it creates problems. That's why. So it synced it with it not starting until here. So you don't want. That's why I hardly ever do that because it fucks up the sync. See?
Oh, okay.
So it's picking up. It didn't sync it at the full video. It synced it starting where I did it. So you gotta kind of basically do it over.
That's right. There we go.
Okay, so I want it. Now that I've synced it, now it's fine with it's fine with doing it. But
Right.
just gonna, okay. So another one, if you want to like kind of drag and drop something. So let's say I want to put something here.
Yeah.
If you just do it like this,
Yeah.
it's gonna.
Oh, it brings it all over the place.
Yeah,
Right,
it's
okay.
gonna-
So how do you do it where it goes?
So what you want it to do, yeah. So you do Control,
Right.
and then the up arrow,
Alright, control up, right, okay.
and then drag and drop it.
Drag and drop it.
And you
there.
know it's working because you see those little arrows there?
Oh, either side of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you drop it, and basically what it did is it pushed,
The other one's out to the side.
yeah, pushed the ones in the
Okay.
back. So that was an amazing thing when I learned that. Because that wasn't a proper microphone.
Excuse me, honey. Excuse me, honey. Would you be interested in taking part in some of our weekly yoga classes?
What's that?
It's all.
So let's say we want now
It's-
to switch to the other line.
Excuse me, honey. Excuse me, honey. Excuse me.
That
Would
one,
you...
you know?
Yeah. And can you put that over the other, that sound over the other clip?
You can.
Yeah.
It's going to be, at that point, it's harder to do
Right, okay.
because people, when they speak, like it's often in a different pace.
Okay.
But in this it'd work because we don't see his.
So you don't see the face.
You don't see his face. Exactly. So how I would do this is I'd unlink the audio and the video on this one.
Okay.
And am I using that again? So I'd unlink the audio and the video. So you just right click and then unlink. I'd delete that video line and the two audio
Okay.
because we don't need them, right?
Yeah.
And then you can add tracks, or you can delete the other ones. It doesn't really matter however you want to do it, right? There's multiple. One thing with any Adobe product, there's like 100 ways to do the same thing.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm looking for. When are we hearing that line?
Excuse me, honey.
So that's it right there, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna mark it. Oops, where did I put that? There we go. So I know what I'm looking for. And now I'm gonna mute those tracks and unmute the ones with the audio that I
Yeah,
want.
yeah.
Excuse me, honey. Excuse me, honey.
So we know.
So
Excuse me, honey.
for let's say, and it is like that, let's say you done 14 shots,
Mm-hmm.
the sound, and it's a 2.5 minute sketch approximately. How long will it take you to edit it?
It can take a few hours.
Take like 3-4 hours.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
depends on how well it was shot.
How it was shot? Okay.
So when I'm shooting something, I try to always, I have a sheet.
Yeah, yeah.
Or I usually do.
Yeah, yeah,
Obviously, I didn't on this one, which is nice. And you have your cameraman give you all the audio files,
Right. Okay.
and then you have the audio guy give you all the file numbers,
Right. Okay.
and then you track it. So I know shot one, take one is video file such and such,
Right. Okay.
and audio file such and such, and then that way when it gets to the point of sitting down to doing the edit, I don't even need to watch any of this, so I don't need to actually watch this and say okay,
Right.
and look for that clapboard because I already know. So then
Okay.
I can just go down and grab my audio and video files and sync them, just go down the list. Then I have them all synced, and then I can start doing the edit.
Right,
So
okay.
so it just kind of depends on how.
How? Yeah.
Yeah.
How you're fixed from the get go of starting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I did make sure that every time we cut the camera, we cut the sound, so
Right.
that way you'd have a matching number, so you'd know the first audio file links to the first sound video file, and on down the list. So even though they're not numbered the same, and the audio starts with
Right.
02 and the camera starts with 01,
Yeah.
they should match.
They should match. Yeah.
They should, assuming everybody did everything.
Oh, okay.
Correctly,
Okay.
and-
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Let's see if this works.
Excuse me, honey. Excuse me, honey. Excuse me. Would you be interested in taking part in some of our weekly yoga classes?
Yeah, see, so that works.
Yeah.
You can bring this back. So now we're taking the audio from there.
Weekly yoga classes?
What's that?
So we don't want that. So I'm just going to grab the whole thing, move it down to there, and so now what we want is his what's that line.
Yoga classes?
I wouldn't use that, and the reason
There's a bit of a jump between the transition.
there is exactly.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
from the
yeah.
same angle. You're going from a
Yeah.
wider shot to a closer shot.
Yeah.
So instead, if I wanted to do that, I'd probably switch. You know what? I'd probably switch to the other shot of Kieran here. And the reason is
It's all about mine.
do the what's that here? What's that?
What's that?
It's all
And you'll see why. Or I'd go to a wider shot. And if you unlink something to like get rid of stuff you don't need, like I did just there, you can just grab them and relink it. Right click and link.
Okay.
So
You can unlink them to sound from the
and then relink it if you need to. So this way, all the sound that I'm eventually going to use, I want on those first 2 tracks.
Okay.
Would you be interested in taking part in some of our weekly yoga classes?
What's that?
It's all about
Oh, I like that.
minds.
Yeah, see, so you can do that to where, now we're cutting in, we're seeing him for the first time, or her. Or you can switch to the wider shot, which, anything else you want to know?
Oh no, that's fine, man. I'll give it a lash myself anyway.
Yeah.
I'll go back to the but I'll even learn it. But I'll leave it to you,
Okay.
man. Yeah.
Here's a couple other things, like if you want to do effects and stuff,
Yeah.
they're all down here.
Well done. Right.
So let's say you want to do, your dissolve to black at the very end of the scene. What you just, do it here. You drag and drop it onto the line, and it's on there when it's,
Right.
and then you can do like
All
your
piped up?
dip to black,
Right. That's all. That's
cross dissolves, all that kind of stuff's all down here. This graphics, they've got this essential graphics now. This is how you do titles. So this has changed with the most recent version.
Oh, okay. With the 2017.
So this is very
right.
different, yeah.
Okay.
So you can do graphics and then you essential graphics and browse, and this took me a while to figure out, and it's kind of a pain.
Right.
But if you
okay.
want to do, your title credits and stuff, that's
Right.
how you do
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Or you can also, there's a type tool now. So you just take your type tool, you click on the window up here, and then you start typing.
Oh, right. Okay.
And then you edit it all over here. It's
Right.
it's kind of weird, and it creates a graphic
Right.
layer. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but I messed around myself, but even like watching you there is very hard for me to memorize it in my mind.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I was recording it. So now you can go watch the video.
Yeah.
I'll cut the video down.
Right.
That's how it's long. To export it, file export. You grab the original. You grab the edit video. So I named this master edit, so I know which one it is. Grab that file, export media.
Alright.
And you can do it a couple ways. You can send it into Adobe Media Encoder, or you can do it in here.
Right.
So I'd say just go ahead and do it in here.
Right. Okay.
Format, 9 times out of 10, you want that H.264. That's the codec that most everyone uses nowadays. Preset, I usually just do a match high bit rate, but if you're exporting it to a specific thing, you can select it all here.
Right.
Like I had to create one for Instagram because they don't have Instagram one here, and they've got kind of weird requirements.
Okay.
So I created my own Instagram one, but usually just leave it at the default. And you can still do some final changes
Yeah.
if you need to.
You can do that color grading too, can't you? With it?
Yeah. So if you want to do some color grading stuff,
Yeah.
you can go to your color window here,
Yeah.
color editing workspace, and this will give you a lot of adjustment things over here that you can
And
do.
would there be very slight adjustments? Very, very slight, I would imagine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, and you need one thing you need to do is you need to create an adjustment layer, or at least that's how I do it. I don't do my adjustments directly on the edit, because you notice what's happening here is we got this one, this one. By the time you're done, you're gonna have a ton of them.
Right. Okay.
And there's different ways you can do this. You can create a new master edit or whatever, but usually what I do is I'll actually just create an adjustment layer, and you need to be in your which I don't have it here, so let's just run back to my editing window. You need to be in your projects window to do a new item and then adjustment layer. And if you've ever used Photoshop, this is like that. So you just drag it over the other layer, and so now that's my adjustments. And if I go back to color, and notice when you start changing stuff.
Oh, right.
You know, so
Yeah,
bring
yeah,
color,
yeah.
You know,
Okay.
you have exposures and all that. They've got like defaults that you can grab as well, and then tweak them and stuff.
Yeah. Depending on the mood of the piece, I suppose.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
But what's
Yeah.
nice about this, since I'm making that adjustment to that layer,
Yeah.
I can then just do it to all of it.
Oh, okay.
You
Just
see?
stretch it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Or just individual pieces. You know, maybe I just want to do an adjustment layer on these
Basically
two.
building in
or-
blocks, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's how I do it. I don't know if
Yeah.
other people have their own ways of doing it. All right, we'll go ahead and end that there. Hope you found that useful. It was kind of a quick little intro. There's, you know, certainly a ton more to do, but, you know, we don't want a 6-hour long intro tutorial. So enjoy.